You ever sit at the dinner table and realize you're the only one without a damn clue what's really going on? 3 days ago, I was carving into a dry piece of chicken while my wife, Lauren, scrolled through her phone with that smug little half-smile she thought she hid so well. Our daughter, Katie, was at a sleepover, and the house felt unusually quiet. I didn't know it yet, but that silence was the sound of a bomb ticking. "Babe, about the family trip," she said without looking up. "I'm thinking we'll invite a few more people this year. You know, make it more fun." I paused mid-bite. "Like who?" She finally looked at me. Her eyes didn't flinch. "Ethan and James." I laughed, thinking she was joking. "You mean your ex-boyfriend and your ex-husband? That Ethan and that James?" She kept that smile. "Yeah, we're all adults, Ryan. It's just a trip. Just a trip." The words echoed like a slap. Ethan, the guy who used to send her roses after every fight, the same punk who called me a safe option at our wedding. And James. James, the ex-husband who once cornered me in a hallway during a holiday party and muttered, "You think she picked you?" She settled. I clenched my jaw. "You're not serious." "I am," she said, tilting her head like I was the one being unreasonable. "They're part of my life. You need to stop being insecure." That was Monday. By Wednesday, I was in a room with my wife, her mother, and 3 of her Pilates club friends, who somehow all had opinions about our marriage. "I don't see the big deal," said Denise, her mom's Botox stiff friend. "James has changed. And Ethan's so fun," chimed in another one, as if this was a damn bachelorette weekend and not a family vacation. "I'm not going," I said. Lauren didn't flinch. "Fine. We'll give your ticket to Mark." Mark, her high school flame. The guy with the motorcycle and prison tattoos. The guy she once told me ruined her emotionally, but in a hot way. My vision went red. "You invite Mark and I swear." "You'll what?" Her mom cut in. "Run to your therapist? You always were the emotional one, Ryan." And then they laughed. All of them. Like this was some sitcom and I was the pathetic husband clinging to control. That night, I couldn't sleep. I stared at our ceiling, listening to Lauren's steady breathing. She had no idea what was coming. Thursday morning, she woke up to an empty closet on my side of the room and a note on the kitchen table. Canceled all the tickets. Booked a one-way flight. Called my lawyer. I hit send on the email before boarding. 40 minutes later, while I sipped whiskey in the airport lounge, my phone exploded. Missed calls. Messages. Voice notes. From Lauren. "What the hell did you do? Are you serious right now? Grow up, Ryan." From her mom. "You're being dramatic. You'll regret this." From Denise. "Wow. Small D energy much." And then, silence. Until one more message came in. A photo. Sent by Katie's best friend's mom. Lauren. On a patio. Red bikini. Sitting on Mark's lap. James pouring drinks next to them. Caption. "Fun pre-trip brunch." That's when I knew. They weren't just trying to ruin my vacation. They were trying to erase me completely. And I'd been blind for too long. Blinded by history. Blinded by love. Blinded by loyalty to a woman who didn't even respect me enough to cheat quietly. So I did what I had to. I turned my phone off. Sipped my drink. Looked out the window as the plane began to board. Because I wasn't running. I was starting AF *** King War. I didn't cry on that flight. I didn't even get angry. I sat in silence, jaw tight, playing back every moment from the last 2 years like a reel I'd been too dumb to rewind. Lauren used to whisper things in her sleep. Names. Sometimes she'd smile to herself when her phone pinged and say, "Work message." She started wearing lipstick to grocery runs. Started locking her phone. And I was the idiot thanking her for cooking dinner once a week like it was a gift. I landed in Austin and went straight to a hotel. Didn't even tell anyone where I was. I needed air. Space. Sanity. Because if I didn't get away, I'd lose my mind. By evening, I checked my email. One new message. From a burner account. "You should know who you're married to. A friend." Attached were 5 photos. The first 3, Lauren in a club. Low-cut dress. Grinding up against Mark. His hand all over her. Another photo, James lighting her cigarette while she laughed with her head tilted back like she hadn't a care in the world. And the last one? Her sitting on James's lap. His hand on her thigh. Her phone in hand, smiling at the screen. The caption read, replying to my hubby. "He thinks I'm asleep, LOL." I froze. There's something about seeing it. Not imagining. Not suspecting. But knowing. That's when the pain moves from your heart to your bones. You stop thinking and start plotting. I called my lawyer again. Told him to pull everything, texts, bank transactions, phone records. I wanted to know how far back the rot went, how long I'd been living with a traitor in silk pajamas. He said, "Are you sure you want to do this? It's going to be rough. I'm already in hell," I told him. Might as well bring marshmallows. That night, I barely slept. I kept playing her voice in my head. "You're insecure. You're overthinking. They're just friends." And every time I remembered those words, I wanted to punch a wall. But it wasn't until the next morning that I hit the real cliff. I received a video, sent by Lauren's cousin. She didn't say anything, just forwarded the clip. It was from the night before. Lauren and Mark in the hot tub at the Airbnb they were all staying at. She was on him, moving like a damn performer, laughing, moaning, kissing his neck. And in the background, James walked past with 2 wine glasses and shouted, "Save some for me." I dropped the phone, not because I couldn't handle it, but because I felt my blood temperature shift. I was watching a parody of my marriage, a joke everyone else was in on except me. I stood in the mirror that morning and looked at myself for the first time in weeks. Dark circles, hollow cheeks, a man slowly being erased. And I whispered, "Not today." I got dressed, called the Airbnb anonymously, and reported drug use and underage drinking. Then I texted Lauren one line. "Smile for the cameras. Cops are on their way." 30 minutes later, I got a call from an unknown number. I picked up. "Ryan, are you out of your mind?" Lauren's voice cracked with panic. "Why don't you ask Mark and James to protect you? I'm sure they'll do a great job when the cops ask about the powder on the table." There was a pause. Then, "You're such a little man." "No," I said, calmly. "I'm a man who finally woke up." And I hung up. No screaming. No crying. No begging. Just silence. A silence she'd have to live with. And that was only the beginning. By the time the sun went down, I had already transferred half our joint savings into a separate account, perfectly legal, by the way, since I was the sole earner. I'd set the pins, and now I was ready to knock them down one by one. That night, I opened the cloud backup on our shared iPad, something she probably forgot even existed. She'd been logging in under her email this whole time. I scrolled through chats, images, notes she shared with herself. And then I found it. A message titled Plan B Kiss Mark, sent from Lauren to herself. It was a full breakdown of what she wanted if the marriage fell apart. Pictures of luxury apartments bookmarked, a typed list of what to take from the house, and this is the part that made my skin crawl, a list of assets with the note. "Ryan's too proud to fight hard. I'll get the house if I push him right." There it was. Cold-blooded. Calculated. I wasn't a husband to her. I was a strategy. I stared at the screen for minutes, heart thudding like it wanted out of my chest. And then I did something I didn't think I'd ever do. I smiled. Because now I knew exactly who I was dealing with. No more guessing. No more giving her the benefit of the doubt. She wanted a war? I'd give her AF *** King War, but not the kind with screaming or broken furniture. The quiet kind. The kind where she'd think everything was normal until the ground fell out from under her. That's how you deal with someone like Lauren. You don't shout. You don't plead. You make them believe they've won. Then you burn the throne they're sitting on. The next morning, I got another call. This time from Katie. "Dad, Mom's freaking out. She said you're trying to ruin her life." I paused. "How are you doing, sweetheart?" She sniffed. Confused. "Everyone's acting weird. Uncle James is here, and that guy Mark tried to talk to me like we were friends." My stomach dropped. "They brought you there?" "Yeah. Grandma said you weren't coming and that I should still enjoy the trip." "They brought my daughter into that cesspool?" I closed my laptop slowly, every muscle in my body tense. "Listen to me, Katie," I said. "You pack your things. I'm booking a flight for you. Right now. Someone will pick you up from the airport. You don't talk to anyone about this. Just say you want to go home." "But Mom." "Please, Katie, do this for me." She didn't argue again. After the call, I fired off another message to my lawyer, then called my old college roommate, Dave, who happened to be a cop in the same city Lauren was in. "Dave," I said, "I need a welfare check done on my daughter. She's at a rental with 3 men, one of them a registered aggressor. You can verify the records. She's underage." "Say less," he said. 2 hours later, I got confirmation. Katie was pulled from the house and placed in a secure location until my authorized pickup could arrive. No charges for now, but it rattled the cage. Lauren called again. 6 times. I didn't answer. Finally, she texted. "You're out of control. You're ruining everything. I hope this is worth it." I stared at that message for a long time. Not because it hurt, but because it proved everything I needed. She never once apologized, never once denied what she did. Her concern was about losing control, not losing me. That night, I laid on the bed in the hotel, staring at the ceiling again, but this time with a sense of peace I hadn't felt in years. Because for the first time, I knew exactly where I stood, and it was no longer next to her. A knock at the hotel door pulled me out of my thoughts. I wasn't expecting anyone. For a split second, I thought maybe she'd found me, but that was impossible. I hadn't left a single breadcrumb. I moved slowly, cautiously, peering through the peephole. Room service. But I hadn't ordered anything. I cracked the door open just enough to see the tray. A folded note was taped to the cover. I opened it, and the words hit like a slap. You should have stayed quiet. Mark's not done. No signature. No sender info. Just that line. I scanned the hallway, empty. The server was already walking away. I closed the door and bolted it, my heart pounding. They were trying to scare me, trying to make me fold. Mark, James, maybe even Lauren. They weren't just trash, they were arrogant and dangerous when backed into a corner. I called Dave again. You sure that Mark guy's clean? I asked. He sighed. Not even close. 3 assault charges, 1 sealed. Somehow keeps skating. You want me to dig deeper? Yeah. And now I want eyes on Lauren too. If she's involved in this crap, I need it documented. Copy that. After the call, I sat there for a long time, the silence of the room thick. That note was proof. They were unraveling. When a manipulator loses control, they go one of 2 ways, full retreat or full attack. Lauren was choosing the latter, and she still didn't know about the documents I was preparing. 2 days later, I had everything I needed. My lawyer built the case like a sniper building a rifle. Infidelity, endangerment of a minor, psychological abuse, financial misconduct, it was a buffet of betrayal. Best part? I wouldn't need a courtroom scream fest. Just signatures and silence. Then I did something petty. I sent her a package. Inside? A framed printout of her own Plan B kiss mark file and a prepaid envelope with divorce papers. The message on the card read, You always like plans. Here's mine. She went silent for 2 full days. No calls. No texts. Not even a whisper. Then, Sunday morning, the silence cracked wide open. My phone rang at 7:46 a.m. I was already up, drinking bitter coffee and reading over the last round of reports from the lawyer. It was Katie. She was crying. Dad, she told me you abandoned us. She said you left because you're weak, that you didn't love me enough to stay. My hands tightened around the mug. She's lying, I said. You know that, right? She sniffled. I didn't at first, but I do now. That was the moment I knew I wasn't fighting for revenge anymore. I was fighting for Katie, for clarity, for freedom. I promised her I'd explain everything in person. She deserved that much, and I wouldn't let Lauren twist her into another pawn. That evening, Lauren finally messaged me. No anger, no threats, just this. I made mistakes. Let's talk. Please. I didn't reply. She sent another. I didn't mean for it to go this far. I didn't know you'd actually leave. And another. I thought you'd fight for me. That one made me laugh. She wanted me to fight for her. After dragging me through hell, she wanted me to crawl back and prove something? To show I was still loyal after she stripped every shred of dignity I had? Nah. She didn't want me back. She just didn't want to lose the lifestyle, the comfort, the safety net. Too late. The next morning, I walked into my lawyer's office, signed the final round of paperwork, and officially filed. Irreconcilable differences. Emotional and psychological abuse. Evidence attached. The war was over. And I didn't just survive it. I scorched the ground behind me. The first night back home was strange. The silence felt unfamiliar, but not in a bad way. It was clean. Untouched. Like I'd finally shaken off the stench of living next to a snake for too long. I walked through the house slowly, one step at a time, like it was some crime scene I was revisiting. Her perfume still lingered in the hallway. Her robe still hung behind the bathroom door. Her favorite wine glass sat by the sink with red stains dried to the rim. Little leftovers of a life that wasn't real. I picked up the wine glass, turned it in my hand, and without thinking, dropped it into the trash. I wasn't angry anymore. I wasn't even hurt. What I felt was sharper than both clarity. Every moment of my marriage, I had shown up. I fought for her happiness, for our family, for stability. And all that time, she'd been planning her exit behind closed doors, laughing in hot tubs with her exes and treating our vows like suggestions. And now, the roles had reversed. She was calling every day now. Sometimes she'd leave voicemails, sometimes long text essays with sprinkled in apologies and backhanded jabs. I know I hurt you, but you weren't perfect either. You're breaking up our family over one mistake. They meant nothing, Ryan. It was a phase. I didn't even flinch. She had the audacity to call betrayal a phase, like it was some haircut gone wrong. One evening, while I was cleaning out the closet, I found an old box, cards from anniversaries, a scrapbook we started and never finished, a pair of plane tickets to Paris we never used. Buried beneath it all was a photo strip from a carnival years ago. She was kissing my cheek in all 4 frames. Her eyes closed, smile wide, arms around me like I was her entire world. I held it for a minute, then ripped it in half, then into quarters. Then I dropped the pieces into the fireplace and lit the match. Some things shouldn't be recycled. 2 weeks after the filing, my lawyer called with news. She signed, he said. No contest. She even waived spousal support. Really? I raised an eyebrow. She wants to settle it fast. My guess? Someone else is already in her ear. Of course they were. She'd burned through Mark. And James? He probably ghosted the moment things got real. That's how cowards work. They only like playing with fire until they get burned. I got another text from her that night. If you loved me, you'd try harder. I stared at that one longer than usual. Because the truth was, I did love her. Once. And I did try. I gave her chances most men wouldn't. I believed in her when no one else did. And she mistook that for weakness. She never saw that I wasn't built to chase. I'm built to walk away and not look back. When Katie came home, she hugged me harder than she ever had. We didn't say much. We didn't need to. She sat next to me on the couch, pulled the blanket over both our laps, and said, I'm glad you did what you did. I kissed her forehead. She whispered, Mom's still lying, you know. I know, sweetheart. I don't think she knows how to tell the truth anymore. I nodded. That's not our problem anymore. She leaned on me, and for the first time in months, the weight on my chest lifted. Not completely, but enough to breathe again. Later that night, I wrote a letter. Not to Lauren, not to Katie, to myself. Just a few lines. You survived. You stayed kind. You stayed real. Don't let this change that. Let it shape you, not harden you. You lost a liar, not a love. And then I slept. For the first time in weeks, I really slept. A month passed. The house stayed quiet, and I realized I liked it that way. I wasn't walking on eggshells anymore. No more second-guessing if a question would turn into an argument. No more pretending not to notice how she'd flinch every time her phone lit up, then hide the screen like I was some overbearing stalker. I'd started cooking again. Real food. The kind that filled the house with the smell of garlic and oil and reminded me I was still alive. I went back to the gym, got my appetite back, and the lines around my eyes started to look less like exhaustion and more like recovery. Lauren kept sending messages, but now they were colder, less emotional. The warmth had burned off. Her pride had kicked in. Hope you're enjoying your little freedom. Just know everyone sees what you did. You'll never find better. That last one made me laugh out loud. Because she was right. I won't find someone like her again. And that's the damn point. I bumped into Denise, her Botoxed friend, at the grocery store of all places. She was wearing oversized sunglasses indoors and pretending she didn't see me. But I stared right at her. Didn't blink. Tell Lauren, I said, as I passed. Mark's not the upgrade she thinks he is. He just looks better in low light. Her mouth opened like a fish out of water. I kept walking. I got a call from my lawyer that week too. Turns out Lauren tried to pull some slick maneuver, file a retroactive financial claim on a mutual investment I made 3 years ago. Thing is, it was in Katie's name, not hers. You want to pursue this formally? The lawyer asked. I thought for a second then said, no. Let her sink in her own mess. I'm done cleaning up after her. And I meant it. But the universe wasn't quite done with her yet. 2 weeks later, she showed up at my door. I saw her through the window before she even knocked, standing there in a tight dress, sunglasses on, fake tears behind lenses. I opened the door but didn't invite her in. Ryan, she started, soft like always when she wanted something, can we talk? No. You can say what you want right there. She took off her glasses. Her eyes were red, makeup smudged, probably from trying to cry hard enough in the car before walking up. I made mistakes, she said. I didn't respond. I didn't think you'd actually leave. Still silent. I was scared, she said. I thought if I kept you close, but explored a little, I could figure myself out. You explored all right, I said. National Geographic should have filmed it. That one hit. Her face twisted. I want my family back. I shook my head slowly. No. You want your safety back. Your comfort. But I'm not your backup plan. You're being cruel. I leaned on the doorframe. You had a man who would have given you everything. And you let two clowns pass you around like a party favor. That's not a mistake. That's a choice. Tears finally spilled. I'm sorry. I nodded. You should be. Then I closed the door in her face. I didn't slam it. I didn't yell. Just closed it. Calm. Final. I stood there for a moment, hands still on the handle, listening. But there was no sound. No pounding. No begging. Just the click of her heels as she walked away. She never came back after that. No more texts. No more voicemails. Just nothing. Like the whole storm she'd stirred up had finally run out of wind. And I liked the silence. It's strange how fast you can get used to peace after living in chaos. The quiet doesn't feel lonely when you know you're not being lied to anymore. When you don't have to guess what mood's waiting for you on the other side of a door. When you stop being afraid to check your own phone. Katie was adjusting too. We'd made a deal not to talk about her mom unless she brought it up. And when she did, it was usually something simple. She texted me today, she said one night over dinner. I didn't reply. I nodded. That's her call. She said she misses me. Of course she does, I said. You're the best part of her life. Katie poked at her mashed potatoes, then looked at me. She doesn't deserve to have the best part, does she? That stopped me. No, I said. But you're not something to deserve. You're someone to love. And I do. Every day. She smiled a little. That's all I needed. The weeks kept rolling by. Divorce finalized. House put up for sale. I kept the car, the investments, the lake cabin she didn't even remember we owned. Mark and James both disappeared from the radar. Rumor had it Mark got into a fight at a bar, busted someone's nose, and got banned from half the local clubs. James, no one really knows. Some say he left the state. Others say he moved in with some 20-something who thinks he's deep because he quotes Rumi while drunk. Lauren? She posted a few selfies here and there. Tried to fake the happy. Beach photo. Wine glass. Cryptic caption. Some people never see your worth. That's their loss. I didn't even feel anything when I saw it. Because here's what I learned. When a liar loses control of the story, they try to rewrite it. For the crowd. For the sympathy. For the illusion. But I didn't care about her story anymore. I had my own. A better one. One night, I was sitting by the fire pit in the backyard, just me and the stars, when Katie came out with 2 mugs of cocoa. Mind if I join you? Never. We sat there in the quiet for a while. Then she asked, do you think you'll ever fall in love again? I didn't answer right away. I don't know, I said honestly. But I'm not scared of it anymore. She sipped her drink and nodded. I wasn't scared. Not of being alone. Not of starting over. Not even of getting hurt again. Because I survived the worst kind of betrayal, not just from a lover, but from someone who looked me in the eye for years and told me they loved me, while preparing their escape the whole time. I came out of that with my heart intact, my dignity unbroken, and my daughter still by my side. That's more than most people get. And I didn't owe that woman a single word more. The house was empty the day I handed over the keys. I walked through each room one last time, slow, steady steps, like I was saying goodbye to the version of myself that once lived here. The living room still had faint impressions in the carpet from where the couch used to be. The kitchen walls had the slightest outline of where our wedding photo once hung. She'd taken it down months before she left, long before I even realized it. Like she'd already erased us in her head. I stood in the doorway of what used to be our bedroom. The room where I first told her I loved her. The same room where I later heard her whisper another man's name in her sleep. I didn't feel hate. Just a final, clean sadness. The kind that only comes when you're ready to let go. I locked the door, turned the keys in, and never looked back. 3 months later, I was sitting in a coffee shop downtown, working on my laptop. A woman brushed past me, smiled, and said, I like your shirt. I looked up. She wasn't Lauren. She didn't carry that fake sweetness or that manipulative glint in her eye. She was just real. I smiled back. Maybe nothing would come of it. Maybe it was just a moment. But that was enough. Because now I knew what to look for. Not perfection. Not fireworks. Not drama. Just honesty. If you're reading this and you're where I was, confused, angry, lost, let me tell you something no one else will. You don't owe anyone your peace. You don't have to stay loyal to someone just because you've shared history. Love doesn't come with an obligation to suffer. If they lie, if they cheat, if they treat your trust like trash, walk away. Don't scream. Don't fight. Just leave. Quietly. Fully. Completely. Because dignity never begs. And peace is worth more than 1,000 fake apologies. I didn't just survive my wife's betrayal. I escaped it. And that? That was the beginning of everything good.